Hi guys. Okay, so my name's Jay, and I have done a lot of work teaching in different countries around the world. I first started in South Korea I was there for 12 years, and I always wanted to work in the Middle East, and so I had accepted a job in Dubai, and then as I was about to get there, they called me and said, "You're going to go to some little small town," and so I ended up going to look at Qatar, and as I was about to leave for Qatar, they said, "We thought you're an American citizen. You have to be a U.S. citizen. I'm Canadian, so I couldn't go there." So a friend of mine was in Saudi Arabia, and that is the main point of this video: is what's it like teaching in Saudi Arabia. Um, I ended up going to King Abdul Aziz University in Jeddah, and a friend of mine was there, and I had a couple other friends in Korea who had been there and they had left. And so I want just to talk for a couple of minutes about Saudi Arabia because um, it's a you have to be very. I think only certain types of people can do well in Saudi Arabia. So first of all, any women who want to go to Saudi Arabia, to be perfectly honest, I would completely. Now, some of the big international schools that are in the compounds, which the compounds are really, uh, you know, it's like living in Canada or the U.S. or London inside Saudi Arabia. So the international schools, there's a lot of women from South Africa, and for sure, you know, that's all right. If you live on a compound, it's a very different place than living. Uh, it's a very very different environment than living outside the compound. And in Saudi Arabia, the first thing that everybody says is, "Oh, it's the money." Well, in fact, it's not the money. You In the main part of Saudi Arabia, um, they do pay quite well on an hourly basis. But if you want to hustle a little bit and you want to work a little bit, you can make equal, if not more, money in China, and you get to pick. You can do a subject that you want to teach in China. The international schools can hire people, and you can teach history or geography or any subject that you think is far more interesting. So the first thing is in Saudi Arabia that you have to know is the money is better than a lot of places. The second thing is in Saudi Arabia you really don't work very much. We did 4 6 weeks, 6 week terms, and so you only worked 24 weeks, and the students never showed up for the first week, and then you had exams and stuff. Now the problem was at our place you're only allowed outside of Saudi Arabia for 90 days of the year. I would have done the opposite. I would have tried to make it much more enjoyable and said to the teachers, get out and go to Cairo or go to Dubai or wherever, but they're worried that the teachers would leave and not come back. Saudi Arabia students are very, very lethargic, and it is really, really tough to work with them. It is you. The number one issue is trying to motivate your students. It's really, really, really tough. So you have to be patient with that. The people that I found in Saudi Arabia that did the best, it's not expensive to live there because there's no tax. Your rent is cheap because land is not expensive. Um, you have to be someone who can you don't mind being inside most of the day. And if you like movies and stuff and you can sit in your room inside and turn on your AC, then you're perfectly fine. But if you like being outside and being with other friends, it's not so easy. Um, the second group of people that seem to do quite well there are people who are resourceful because you have to find ways to keep yourself busy. There's nothing to do. Now, I heard there's cinemas open now. In terms of like scuba diving on the Red Sea, yes, it is. But even Saudi Arabia, they don't have a public bus system. They don't have a subway system, so it's really tough to get around. And Saudi Arabia is a very challenging environment. If you don't need the money but you want to go to the Middle East, I highly suggest Qatar and the UAE. However, the decent jobs there are much more difficult to get. You have to have degrees and you have to be quite well educated to get the really good jobs there. In Qatar, a couple of friends of mine have done really well with private lessons. Qatar's a very small place, and so it gets kind of boring quickly. But you have to find ways to keep yourself entertained. And with Dubai is pretty expensive as well, but there's a much larger expat community, and you can see the sights and so on. If you have any questions, just let me know, drop them below, and I'll fill them in. I was there for 3 years, and that was a pretty difficult time. Anyway, best of luck.